Hey guys, welcome back to Shortcuts to Success, where I, Randy Vieru, share with you how to achieve professional bakers' recipes. Today's recipe is going to be pâte sucrée. Pâte sucrée is a sweet pie dough that can be used for tarts, tartlets, pies, and other applications that you would for sweet pie doughs. It is a great consistency for cookies, so you can use it for that as well. Depending on what you're going to be using it for, you could add different aromatics to it. For this recipe, I've added vanilla and lemon zest, but it is up to you. You could do cinnamon, you could do tonka bean. That's not legal in the US, so we'll keep it between you and I. Pâte sucrée is the basic sweet dough that everybody should have on hand. All the ingredients will be listed below, so without further ado, here's the recipe. First, we're going to add our soft butter. We want to make sure that our butter is nice and soft. Then we're going to add our sugar. We're going to whisk together our sugar and butter. Once we get a nice combined sugar-butter consistency that is a bit lightened in color, like this, we want to add our lightly beaten egg. This is also when we want to add our flavors. I've decided to add some vanilla and some lemon zest. We want about this much lemon zest. And then we want to whisk that in. Once our egg is all whisked in, it is time to add in our salt and sift in our flour. And now with a spatula, we're going to combine our flour with the rest of the mixture without forming a dough ball. If we were working on our tabletop, then we could use a bench scraper or a bowl scraper for this. But since we're working in a bowl, we're going to use a spatula. This recipe is also very easy to make in a KitchenAid stand mixer. All you have to do is follow the same steps and mix with a paddle attachment. And once the dough is this consistency, just like we would in a stand mixer, we're going to flip it onto our work surface and we're going to do what is called a fraisage, or we're going to fraiser the dough. First, we want to combine the dough into a ball like so. And with this part of our palm, we're going to push or smear the dough onto our work surface. Fraiser or fraisage is smearing of the dough to bind the butter with the other ingredients, resulting in better flaky layers yet stronger dough. This is a really fun method. I definitely recommend this for everyone. Then we're going to grab our dough. We're ready to form our dough into a disc shape and to plastic wrap it, and we're going to let it rest for at least 2 hours in the refrigerator. To ease the rolling process, once our dough comes out of the refrigerator, we always want to make our disc or our shape prior to the refrigerator to be about 1 inch thick. That way we'll be able to roll it out easier once it's out of the refrigerator and it's still cold. There you have it. It is ready for the refrigerator for 2 hours. Once our dough has rested in the refrigerator, we want to leave it out for about 15-20 minutes. That way it can soften up just a little bit. Because of the amount of butter and the egg in there, your dough might be a little too hard to roll out right away. The good thing about this dough is that it comes back together easily. So if you see some breakage, don't worry. We're going to push it back together. The other thing some people also do is you're going to see them hitting the dough over and over again, and that kind of relaxes the dough and will help you roll it out. So I'm going to do that too. And always remember to turn your dough 90 degrees each time. And be careful with your fingers. Once I am done walking my dough, I am now going to start rolling it out. And again, do not worry as it breaks. It comes right back together. Something that helps is working your dough in portions. I know it looks scary and it's breaking, but do not worry. It will bake very nicely. And the cool thing about this dough is that it comes right back together. So if you feel that your dough is falling apart, just push it back in together. What I like to do is cut off the edges like this, because I know I won't be able to use it. Or at least I won't be able to use it right away. So that way it really just lets me work with the piece that I'm going to be using. Now I'm going to cut out my pieces that I'm going to be baking. And I have just some softened butter here that I'm going to use to butter my tart rings. All you have to do is just grab the butter and rub it on the inside of your ring. Because of the eggs in the dough, you want to make sure that you butter your tart ring, that way it'll be easier to unmold. I'm going to take my circle and cut right into the dough. I'm going to remove from the outer part of the dough. Now I'm going to use spatulas to move this. It does warm up a bit. Also, my home is very hot. I'm cutting strips like this, and then I roll it onto itself, kind of like a fruit roll-up. And then I place it down onto the base until it covers the radius of our circle. And for the strips, you don't need a specific width. You just want something that's high enough to fit on the side of the tart ring. And I just cut the pieces that are extra. And then I press it onto my lightly buttered tart ring. And you want to make sure that the seams are touching. That way you don't end up with any gaps in your crust. Now we're going to grab our paring knife and we're going to cut it away from us, or away from the inside of the tart shell, I should say. And we're going to do it for the others as well. Now we're just going to let our dough rest in the refrigerator, and after that we're going to dock our dough and we're going to bake it at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 to 25 minutes. And if you followed my recipe, you're probably left with some more dough, or at least you have some leftover dough, and that's not a problem. This dough is very forgiving. You can put it back into the refrigerator if you're going to be using it within the next day or so. Or if you're all done with the recipe that you're using that day, just wrap it up and put it into the freezer, and it can stay in the freezer for a couple months. So you definitely do not have to waste this dough. It comes back together just fine, and every time that you roll it out, just add a little bit of flour, cut it the way that you need to cut it, put it into the tart shell or the tart ring that you're using, and bake it just the same way, and you're good to go. So this is not a waste. You can still use it. You can continue to use it until you have literally about this much dough. After your 15 to 20 minutes in the refrigerator, you just want to grab a fork and lightly poke onto your dough, not forgetting the sides. And this is going to help prevent puffing up of your dough while in the oven baking. And you don't need these to go all the way down, just about halfway. And now the dough is ready to go into the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. There you have it, guys. Recipe for pâte sucrée. It may look a little bit intimidating, but I promise it is definitely worth it. This recipe is great for lemon meringue pies or any fruit tart that is filled with some crème pâtissière. It is so light and flaky and melts in your mouth. It's not overpowering with the sweetness, and you can add any flavoring that you would like, whether it is cinnamon or nutmeg or things like that. You can really play with the flavors of this tart dough. It is very simple to accomplish at home, and you can keep it in the freezer if you don't use all of it. So it's great for any time of the year. You can make cookies out of it. It's just such a great dough to know how to make. I hope that you enjoyed this recipe, and if you did, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you do not miss any new recipes. Until next time, cheers.